Jermell Charlo becomes the undisputed world super welterweight champion with a 10th round TKO victory over Brian Castano in their rematch. We hear so much from disgruntled boxing fans who say that we never get the fights that we want. Well, here we have yet another undisputed champion in relatively short succession in boxing. If you focus on the negatives, you're never going to be happy. If you appreciate the positives and see the glass as half full rather than half empty, then you're going to be a lot more fulfilled when it comes to boxing. Always, of course, we strive for better, but do not overlook the great things that take place in the world of boxing. And this was a great rematch between these two. It was a continuation of their first fight, really, where you had Jermell Charlo as the matador, circling the perimeter of the ring, using his jab, trying to establish distance and walk Castano onto shots. And you had Castano as the bull coming forward, bringing the heat. Now, one of the things that separated these two in this fight for me was Jermell Charlo's punch quality. It was a bit better than Castano. Don't get it twisted. Castano landed more than his fair share of clean punches in this fight. And when I say clean, I mean he landed right hands, power shots with the knuckle of the glove right on Jermell Charlo's chin on numerous occasions. But Charlo was able to take Castano's punches better than Castano was able to take Charlo's punches. And that was really one of the, as I say, things that separated them in this fight. Charlo was able to hurt Castano, and he did numerous times throughout. Castano wasn't really able to hurt Charlo, at least not to the same degree. Now, Charlo was attempting to control things, but Castano was pretty good at getting close. He's got fast feet, and when he does get into punching range and Castano lets his hands go, he's got fast hands too. At long range, Jermell Charlo had the quicker single shots and the faster 1-2. But when they were up close, it was pick 'em in terms of who had the quicker combination punches. Both guys very, very snappy with the shots. Charlo boxed a disciplined fight, and he said in the post-fight interview that he listened to his corner more this time than he did last time around. He boxed discipline, he stuck to the game plan, and as the fight progressed, he kept on hurting Castano here and there, and Castano started slowing down. There was a moment, I think, in the, might have been 5th or 7th rounds, I forget which round it was now, where Charlo clearly hurt Castano. Castano backed off because he was seriously buzzed, and Charlo didn't go for it. And I wondered at that point if that was an opportunity missed to end the fight. Maybe it was a case of Jermell Charlo not recognizing he hurt Castano. Perhaps he thought that Castano's still dangerous when he's buzzed, so he didn't want to go in there and give him any opportunities to land his own shot. I don't know what it was, but I found that curious at the time. Either way, it was academic because Castano started slowing down. His work rate was no longer as high, and Charlo was then given the space and the time to actually get his boxing going a bit better. Because again, in the early rounds, very tough for Charlo to actually keep Castano off. But in the, I want to say, second half of the fight, 6, 7, 8, that's when there was a bit of space. Charlo started to do some nice boxing, because up until the halfway stage, this was a pretty even fight. For me, I probably would have had Charlo edging it after 6, but many of the rounds were very close. And as I say, both guys landed clean shots on each other's chins. So after the midway stage, pace slows. Charlo starts taking more control with his boxing. Then finally in the 10th round, Charlo landed a shot, which he'd been landing the whole fight, which was a left hook. There were many occasions where Castano would back Charlo up to the ropes, and Charlo would keep his guard high and then catch Castano with sometimes a sweeping hook, sometimes a hook that was very, very short. In this instance, in the 10th round, it was a very, very short left hook that seemed to catch Castano actually on the forehead, if you watch the slow motion replay. And Castano went down after a delayed reaction of maybe a second or two, crumpled to the canvas. And in the post-fight interview, Jermell Charlo said he knew at that stage that the fight was over. Castano, of course, being a brave warrior, got to his feet, tried to do what he could, but he was out of it. And Jermell Charlo stepped in, put some shots together, rocked Castano's head back, and the referee rightly jumped in and stopped the fight. So congratulations to Jermell Charlo for becoming the latest undisputed champion in boxing. Now, a little bit of, what can I call it, trivia. I found this strange. And that is the fact that Castano and his team had this logo on their gear, on their getup, the Beer Station Brixton. For those of you who don't know, this is the London Underground logo, but of course they've put different text on it. The London Underground logo, this is the subway, as people call it in America, in New York City. We call it the Tube or the Underground, and each station has this exact same logo with the name of the station across the middle, in this case, Brixton. Now, I am not aware of such a place in Brixton, right? For those of you who don't know, I grew up in Brixton. I'm not aware of such a place, the beer station in Brixton. Turns out it's actually a place in Argentina where Castano is from. So I'm not sure what that's about. Maybe someone from Brixton moved to Argentina and opened up a place and named it after. I don't know why they would name it after Brixton. Not the most glamorous place in the world, but there you go. So yeah, I don't know if anybody else spotted that, but I found that curious and interesting. Anyway, back to the fight itself. Big credit to Jermell Charlo. He talked in the post-fight interview about possibly moving up to 160. Well, of course, his brother Jermell campaigns at 160. I believe he's WBC champion, isn't he? Would that be an issue? What would Jermell do? Would he move up to 100? Obviously, they're not going to fight each other. They're twin brothers. They love each other. But in terms of who gets the fight for the belts, what would they do? Because Jermell hasn't been able to secure unifications with the likes of Golovkin and so on, and Murata and what have you. Murata, of course, recently lost to Golovkin. So is he hopeful that he can get such a unification? Demetrius Andrade, I believe, is going to vacate the WBO middleweight title, so that could be up for grabs. Maybe Charlo thinks he can get hold of that. I'm not sure. It's just interesting to hear Jermell. Perhaps it was just an off-the-cuff remark that he didn't really think about too tough. But yeah, he talked about moving up to 160 and trying to do the same, as in becoming undisputed in that weight class, just like he did at 154. Let me know what you guys think about that prospect in the comment section below. Do you think Jermell Charlo would be capable of stepping up to the 160-pound division and unifying, becoming undisputed, assuming that his brother steps up to 168? Because again, doesn't his brother Jermell want to try and unify, become undisputed at 160? We'll see. So, historic fight, great action. Both guys fought tremendously well, and they're really, really well matched in terms of styles, Charlo and Castano. There was some trash talk in the build-up, but when all was said and done and they traded heavy leather for 10 rounds, there was a lot of respect shown in the post-fight interview between the two of them. So, yeah, all water under the bridge as far as the pre-fight trash talk. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. What would you like to see Jermell Charlo do next? What would you like to see Castano do next? Until next time, I'm out.